Welcome back to Our Relationships, where even the most stable marriages can be shaken by one unexpected dinner invitation. Today's post, a seemingly harmless reunion with old friends uncovers a deeply buried past, and a disturbing new offer that threatens to destroy trust, marriage, and sanity. This is a story of temptation, jealousy, and the line between casual history and full-blown betrayal. Let's dive in. I'm a 38-year-old man, married to my wife, who's 36. We've been together for nearly a decade, married for 6 of those years. Overall, I'd say we're solid. Good communication, solid intimacy, shared values. We have one child, a 4-year-old son, and live in a cozy house in the suburbs. My wife is outgoing and charming, the kind of person who becomes friends with everyone in a room. She's told me before that she had a free-spirited phase in her 20s, where she experimented, traveled, partied. It didn't bother me much. We've all had lives before we settled down. She made it clear early in our relationship that she wasn't hiding anything, and I appreciated the honesty. That phase, she said, was behind her, and I believed it. Or at least I wanted to believe it. A few months ago, we ran into one of her old college friends at a mutual friend's backyard barbecue, Jess. And soon after, we met her husband, Tom. They were friendly, charismatic, the kind of couple who always seemed to be the life of the party. Later that evening, after a few drinks, my wife casually mentioned that she used to be very close to Jess, as in, they'd had threesomes in college. Jess, her then-boyfriend, now husband Tom, and my wife had explored things together, as she put it. I was stunned. She'd told me about wild nights, but not that. Still, it had been years ago, long before we met. I brushed off the discomfort and told myself it didn't matter. She was with me now, and people are allowed to have pasts. At least, that's what I thought. After the barbecue, the reconnection with Jess and Tom happened fast. Jess messaged my wife the next day, saying how great it was to see her again. Within 2 weeks, we were having brunch with them at a trendy spot downtown. From there, it turned into a regular thing. Game nights, casual drinks, even a double date to a concert. They were fun. I'll admit it. Tom was sharp and witty, and Jess had this wild, contagious energy. It felt like my wife was glowing whenever they were around, laughing a little louder, reminiscing a little more than usual. At first, I chalked it up to nostalgia. Old friends reuniting. Harmless, right? But I could feel something shifting. Their presence in our lives became constant, and slowly, the playful memories began turning into something more suggestive. I didn't want to be that jealous husband, so I ignored the gnawing feeling in my gut. It started subtly. We were all at our place watching a movie when I caught Tom staring at my wife. Not casually, intensely. It was the kind of look that lingered too long. When I met his eyes, he didn't flinch, just gave me this smirk like we were sharing some inside joke. I brushed it off. Then Jess started slipping in little comments. Jokes about how wild my wife used to be. "Remember the rooftop in Miami?" she said once, nudging my wife and giggling. My wife laughed awkwardly but changed the subject. I began noticing patterns. Compliments that sounded too loaded, touches that lingered on the arm or lower back, inside jokes I wasn't part of. Still, I kept telling myself I was being paranoid. These were just her old friends, but deep down I knew something was off. It all came to a head one evening over dinner at their place. The wine was flowing, music was low, and the air had that kind of slow-burning buzz that comes from too much comfort and too little filter. Jess leaned in during dessert and smiled at my wife. "Do you ever miss those nights?" she asked casually, like they were talking about old college parties. Back when we didn't care what anyone thought. My wife froze for half a second, then chuckled lightly. "That was a long time ago," Tom joined in. "Not that long ago," he said, locking eyes with her. Then, turning to me, he added, "We always wondered what it would have been like if you'd been around back then." There was a pause, a thick, suffocating silence. Jess reached for her glass and set it. Just like that. We were thinking, maybe it doesn't have to be a memory. I felt the floor drop. They smiled, almost rehearsed. "Only if you're comfortable, of course. Jess added quickly. "We just always had this amazing connection." Tom looked at me, then at my wife. "We're open to anything. Watching, joining, whatever feels right." I couldn't breathe. My wife laughed, nervously. She waved it off like it was some elaborate joke. "You two are unbelievable," she said, shaking her head, but I saw the look in her eyes. Not surprise, hesitation. She knew this was coming. That night, on the drive home, I couldn't hold it in. "How long have they been planning that?" I asked. She was quiet. Then she said, "They brought it up a while ago." I didn't take it seriously. "You didn't tell me," I said, trying not to raise my voice. "You let them flirt with you in front of me. You let them into our home." "I thought it was harmless," she said quickly. "I thought they were just being nostalgic. I didn't think they'd actually say it." Then came the worst part. They said they'd love for you to be there too. Not to do anything. Just watch. That's what they really wanted. I felt sick. This wasn't some theoretical thing. They wanted my wife, and they expected me to just sit there and let it happen. She grabbed my hand. I told them no, I swear, but I didn't want to make it a big deal. I didn't want to lose them as friends. Friends. These people weren't our friends. They were predators, hiding behind champagne and shared history. In the days after that dinner, my mind was a storm of jealousy and confusion. Every time I saw my wife laughing with Jess or exchanging a glance with Tom, I felt a sting deep in my chest. Was this just a harmless friendship to her? Or was she secretly longing for the wild, reckless past they shared? I wondered if she missed that version of herself, the free-spirited woman who lived without boundaries or consequences. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how little I truly knew about the woman I married. Had she really moved on from that chapter, or was it still alive and pulling her back? The idea that they wanted me to watch felt like a cruel joke, a test of my trust and masculinity. How could I compete with memories and fantasies from years before I even met her? I felt betrayed, not just by the suggestion, but by the fact that she didn't tell me sooner. That she entertained the idea at all shook the foundation of our marriage. I lay awake many nights, replaying conversations, searching for signs I missed. The insecurity gnawed at me. Was I enough? Was our life enough for her? Or was she trapped between the comfort of us and the thrill of them? One evening, when the weight of my silence grew too heavy, I confronted her. She looked tired, eyes soft but honest. "I'm not interested," she said simply. "Not in them, not in that life anymore." She admitted she regretted letting the conversation get that far. "I was caught off guard," she explained. "I didn't mean to hurt you or make you feel this way. I love you. This, us, is what matters." Still, she hesitated when I asked if she'd cut Jess off. "Jess has been a part of my life for so long," she said quietly. "I don't want to lose that friendship. But I promise, nothing will ever go beyond that. I don't want to risk what we have." Her words reassured me, but the fear lingered. Could a friendship so charged with history really be just friendship? I wanted to believe her, but trust felt fragile, like glass hanging by a thread. She squeezed my hand and said, "I'm here. I'm yours." But the road ahead was uncertain. How do you rebuild when the foundation shakes? I knew we had to set clear boundaries, not just for my peace of mind, but to protect our marriage. I told her I couldn't be a bystander to anything involving Jess and Tom. No more late-night texts, no private hangouts, and definitely no talk about the past that crossed lines. She was reluctant. "They're my friends," she said softly. "I don't want to lose them." That's when the real fight began. We argued about what friendship even means when the lines get blurry. Is it possible to have friends with that kind of past and not have it affect your marriage? She felt I was trying to control her. I felt like I was fighting to save our relationship. We both realized that this wasn't just about Jess and Tom. It was about trust, respect, and whether we shared the same vision for our marriage's future. I started researching. Polyamory, open relationships, wife poaching. Terms I never imagined needing to know. The more I read, the more conflicted I felt. I understood some people's views on freedom and choice. But I also found countless stories of heartbreak, jealousy, and shattered marriages. It was validating to know I wasn't alone in feeling threatened by this. But at the same time, I felt alienated, like my concerns were old-fashioned or controlling. I wondered, was my marriage enough for my wife? Was I enough? Or was she still caught in the pull of something I couldn't give? The struggle wasn't just about other people. It was about how we navigated our values, our fears, and our love. The final straw came unexpectedly. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it, a message from Jess. Another invite to a casual get-together with Tom and her. Just like before, light and friendly on the surface, but to me, it felt like a punch to the gut. After everything we'd talked about, after the boundaries we tried to set, it felt like they were mocking me. Like they didn't respect the limits we'd agreed on. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just harmless friendship anymore. It was a test of how far I'd let this go. My anger bubbled up, mixed with hurt and frustration. Why couldn't she see how much this was tearing me apart? The more I tried to be patient, the more I felt disrespected. This wasn't about me being controlling. It was about protecting what we had built together. I stared at the message, feeling a cold resolve settle in my chest. Something had to change. It couldn't be like this anymore. That night I sat down with my wife and laid it all out. It's them or me, I said quietly but firmly. I can't keep living like this, caught in the middle of your past and my present. If you want to keep Jess and Tom in your life like this, then I don't think we can stay together. She was silent at first. The room felt heavy, thick with tension. Then her eyes filled with tears. I never wanted it to come to this, she whispered. I love you. I don't want to lose us. I could see the conflict in her, the pull between old friendships and our future. But I had made my choice. I needed to know where she stood, what mattered most to her. Because if she couldn't choose me, then maybe it was time for me to walk away. After the ultimatum, my wife agreed to cut contact with Jess and Tom. She promised it was for us, for our marriage. But even with the distance, the tension hasn't fully left. I still catch myself wondering if she's truly done with them, or if this is just a pause before things slip back. Trust feels fragile, like a thread stretched too thin. We're trying to rebuild, but I'm haunted by the past and the fear it might repeat itself. The idea that my wife once entertained their advances, even if out of nostalgia or curiosity, makes me question what I mean to her now. I want to believe she loves me and wants this marriage, but sometimes love doesn't feel like enough. I'm stuck in limbo, hoping that the boundaries we set will hold, but unsure if they ever will. Feeling lost, I turned to Reddit for answers. I needed outside perspectives. Was I overreacting? Was my insecurity justified? I shared my story, hoping for empathy or advice. The responses were mixed. Some told me I was right to protect my marriage, while others said I might be too controlling or paranoid. It made me wonder, had I trusted too long, or maybe not enough? Maybe I was clinging to an ideal instead of facing reality. The Reddit community helped me see that relationships aren't simple, and sometimes love means making hard choices. But deep down, I still don't know what the future holds. For us, for our marriage, or for me. This story hits hard because it touches on the messy intersections of trust, past relationships, and personal boundaries. OP's instincts about feeling uneasy are valid. When a partner's friendships start to blur lines, it's easy to feel sidelined or disrespected. What often happens in situations like this is that consent gets thrown around as a catch-all. But consent isn't just about saying yes, it's about respect, understanding, and emotional safety. Swingers or open relationship dynamics can work for some, but only when both partners are truly on the same page. When one person feels pressured or uneasy, that's a warning sign. OP's feelings of betrayal and jealousy show how important clear communication and boundaries are in any relationship. From the Reddit community, we learned some important lessons. First, wife poaching or toxic friendships that challenge relationship boundaries are more common than you might think, and they often lead to painful conflicts. Boundaries aren't just guidelines. They're the foundation of trust. And when a partner tests or crosses them, it threatens everything you've built together. Remember, no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone explanations or justifications when you say no to something that makes you uncomfortable. Healthy relationships require respect, honesty, and sometimes tough conversations like OP had to have. Whether it's about past relationships or current friendships, protecting your emotional well-being comes first.